Hi everyone, welcome back to our Chantoey Visits Florida series, where we're traveling in a van all throughout Florida. In our last video, we showed you us visiting Maritime Gardens, and so if you haven't seen that, go check that out. As we're working our way down south, we are actually going to Key West, and it's actually a special time. We're actually going on New Year's Eve for the day, and then the next day as well. So we just want to take you on a journey and show you what we saw in Key West.
So let's check it out. So our first stop in Key West was the Key West Forest and Tropical Botanical Garden, which was lovely because it was just all the native plants that were in Florida only. Most botanical gardens will kind of have the native plants along with plants from everywhere else, but this one was really neat in that it was just Florida natives. The area when you walked in was full of artistic pieces, which were fun to interact with, and they also had a section of like musical instruments that you can kind of play and be creative with before you even got inside.
And when you get in, you are just meet with the restrooms, the gift shop, and where you check in.
In this area, they had a really neat little gift shop and an educational center that was currently closed due to the holiday, but they do all sorts of education there, which I thought was really neat as well.
There are many markers that you can go around and see the different parts of the trails there. There are really cool plants, even at the beginning there with the tattoo plant, where you can kind of draw on it.
They have this front area that has lots of event opportunities, outdoor seating, all sorts of things like that. They had this really neat stage area, which we got to take a really nice looking photo in front of, so we thought that was nice. One thing we noticed right off the bat was that they allowed people to have pets, so people were just there on a morning walk with their animals.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about the trails was some of them are raised like this, where you're able to not have to walk into all the brush, but then there were also paths where you can actually go off into the more swampier areas, places where kind of felt like you were on your own little adventure. And so there were times where we would just be walking through and we weren't sure if we were on the right path until you saw like one of the markers that told you that, oh yeah, you can still keep going.
I like the naturalness of this particular garden because, you know, there was lots of deadwood, plants growing from fallen trees, so very natural. It was really nice to kind of experience. Lots of really beautiful lookout points around this botanical garden, and again, lots of art. They had these really decorative scarecrows that were hard to miss, but very beautiful and interesting to look at.
There were definitely a lot of different unique shaped plants, and I thought the humor of having different signs say things like, yeah, we don't know either, or things like that, just added to the character of the garden. It wasn't just, we're going to tell you every single plant. We're also going to point out some of the things that are just kind of unique.
One thing that we thought was absolutely crazy is back at the front where all of the musical instruments were, as soon as you began playing those instruments, all of the turtles of the lake just came forth, and it was just so interesting. They must be accustomed to being fed once they hear the chimes.
Yeah, it just, right when you hit that first note, it was just like, yep, time to head. Here they come.
Here they come.
Mm-hmm.
Our next stop down here in Key West was kind of like the main boardwalk area.
Yeah.
It was at the southernmost point of continental U.S., and so that was kind of a landmark for us.
Yeah, because there's different islands that you go throughout Key West, so this would be the last one that we just ended up starting at first, walking around, seeing the gift shops and all. Very lively, especially, again, because of the holidays, so there were many people who were just out on the little scooters or little trolleys and things like that.
We wanted to take a picture with the marker marking the southernmost point of the continental U.S., but the line was insanely long. So we photobombed instead.
Yeah.
It's not a straight-on shot, but it worked.
Right, and then there's this statue of this guy. Don't know who he was exactly, but he was there and no one was giving him any love, so we took a picture of that.
Also, Hemingway has a home here, which there's a giant brick wall in front of it, which is kind of funny because he built the wall to keep out tourists that were asking for autographs. And funny enough, it's the most toured location in Key West.
Yeah.
They had some really neat houses decorated for Christmas and New Year's, and we thought that was lovely and festive.
Yeah, you can tell they go all out, especially because people come for the holidays.
We hit up Ram's Head for a quick little snack. Actually, we got wind that they had a Bloody Mary bar, and that just sounded like exactly what we needed. But before we got to order, we learned that there were literally chickens everywhere, and they had chicken repellent on the tables.
Yeah, it was crazy, and they're used to just walking around. We actually did 2 different Bloody Marys. We did one where we created by ourselves, and then there was one that was seafood based that had all these different scallops and shrimp and all on it. So I think theirs was a little bit better. They seemed like they were the pros, but ours was pretty good as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this area had a beautiful park to kind of hang out, a Coast Guard ship that was available to tour, but really the neat thing about this area was there was a bunch of geocaching to be done, so check it out. So for New Year's, we went down to the main streets area where they had several dropping of items for bringing in the new year.
Yeah, instead of dropping like a ball, there was a couple items that they dropped in Key West. There's so many people were heading to those drops, or they were going to the restaurants. You clearly see there were some people who were very dressed up and brought their own parties, whether it was speakers or different performers and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, some really neat street performing going on, but there was one guy in particular that I have to tell you about. I don't know what the name of his instrument was, but he was a solo artist, and it was so good that we want to take a minute just to let you hear what that sounded like. Literally so cool.
Yeah, so we worked our way towards one of the drops. We went to a place called Sloppy Joe's, who they were dropping a huge conch shell that was made years ago by a local artist there. And so they every year since they've been dropping this shell down. So it was pretty cool. We got there just a little bit at that last hour.
Lots of excitement going on here. They were throwing beads. There was kind of like this mini concert happening. And we learned very quickly that people would do almost anything to get a hold of some of those beads. So that was definitely an interesting experience.
Yeah, definitely a mini Times Square kind of vibe setting and all. There's definitely a strong presence getting over there. I highly recommend if you're going to go to any of these drops, don't go to the last second. Just go find a spot and just be prepared to be surrounded by many people for however long you're staying till midnight.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the things that most people complained about, there was one group that tried to show up at the last minute and they got kicked right on out. People were like, no, we've been waiting here forever. And so they had to move right on along. But we got to stay in our spot as we kind of got there, an hour before it started. So
yeah, so it was nice. Yeah.
So funny thing about this, the conch drop happened, but then half of the light lit up. So it was a very interesting kind of situation.
Yeah, but we still had fun, a great time. The next day, what we ended up doing was we went to a treasure hunters museum. It's Mel Fisher's treasure hunting museum. There's a fun little spot. There's just a couple museums around for treasure hunting, but we ended up going here for New Year's Day. We took a lot of pictures because we couldn't do a lot of filming inside the museum, but if you want to see more of those pictures or even hear more about the museum, we would love to tell you more about that.
Tell us in the comments if you want to see that video, and we will make that video because, like I said, we have a ton of pictures to share. But that wraps up our Key West video. Maybe it's a little late, or maybe we're just on time for you to start planning your next trip to Key West during the New Year season. So we hope you had a great time, and we'll see you in the next video.
Welcome to my dream. It's good to see you again. We can kick back now. The show has reached the end. Turn out the lights. It's late in the hour. Everything you love has all come home. Farewell for now, my friend. I'll see you around again. Farewell for now, my friend. I'll see you around again.
It's 2024, and here's Joey. I love you, Joey.
I love you, Chantoey.
True to form forever.